Hi everybody, Bryan Ballreich, Production Manager with Roland Digital Group in Irvine. And today I am taking another field question, and this one has to do with cut line generation for a simple graphic. So without further ado, let's take a look. I've already got VersaWorks running, and let's take a look at this file that I've got loaded here. It's a fairly simple job. It's a vector file that we received. And right away, if we take a look at it, I'm not seeing any indication that there's any cut data. We'll move to a vinyl material in the material type, make sure that print and cut is turned on, and we're not seeing anything. So let's go ahead and say, or close out of this window for a moment. And there's something I want to call your attention to, and that is when you've got a job loaded and selected in the queue, you look over to the right and you're going to see a line item here mid-column, about midway down. It's special items, and notice that there is nothing indicated to the right. That tells me that the RIP has not picked up on any spot color designation that's reserved for things like cutting, perf cut, spot color generation, things like gloss ink, primer, white ink. So nothing is showing up. This job has got none of those. So that actually is the quickest verification to see that the RIP doesn't see any of those. So okay, we've got a small issue. We need cut data for this job, so what can we do? Well, since what we're trying to achieve is what I call a cloud cut, so we want to make this a decal. Very simply, peel and stick, so a single peel, so not multiple items, just all bound together with a cloud. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and jump into Illustrator, and I've already got the job loaded. So as you can see here, it's made up of quite a few different items. You've got these large graphics and then a smaller logo to the right. So what I'm going to do is what's called a Pathfinder Generation of a line. So in Illustrator, I really just want the outermost object, so I'm going to hit my Alt-Shift on my keyboard and just window in from empty space, and then see how I'm floating over these two objects here, the yellow and the gray triangles. So I'm just going to let go with both of those hovered on, and notice that it's picked up those two objects complete. It's not gotten just the line segment, it's got the entire object, and they're both selected. Now a nice thing here is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hold down the Alt and the Shift, and then I'm going to create a new window on the logo. Let go, and now you'll see that what's been selected is the three key items that I want to select. So those are all selected complete. I'm going to go up to Object, Path, and Offset Path. Right away, I've got some selections here that have already been preset. Your screen may not look like this. Your outline may be really close to the original. Just really quick, I'm going to turn off the preview so it's not going to show me what it's generating. And we'll start just by talking a little bit about the offset. Very simply, that's the distance. How far from the original object would you like your new line to be created? And then the joins is selected as round. You can do a miter or a bevel. So really simply, they're all quite different. Let me go ahead and turn this preview back on, and I'll just go through them real quick. So miter, you'll notice that we're getting a sharp corner at where it sees a sharp corner, and where it sees round, we've got some rounds, but sometimes you'll get like this corner piece here is not correct. It doesn't follow the original contour. It's a mistake. But that's what miter will do. It's trying to keep pointed corners when possible. And then you can change your miter limit. Let's kick it up to 9 and move off of that. And you might see a change here. Let's move it up to 15. As I'm changing these numbers, you're going to see this miter point jump further out where it needs it. Again, it's just a control of the points to be able to get them tighter or wider. I'm not going to use miter. I'm actually more interested in what's called round. So sure enough, it's disregarding those points, or better yet, it's basically creating a roundness where there was a point. And then you can change that miter limit again, and we can make those round corners a little tighter or a little looser. And then last but not least is a bevel. Sure enough, if you take a look at your corners now, they've been beveled off, and we can change the miter limit again, and that'll make the bevel wider or tighter. So I'm going to go back to round. That's all I want. And you'll notice right away that what's really happening is it's not deleting anything, it's just creating a new layer, or not a new layer, but a new object around the original. That's fine, that's all it can do. It's not going to automatically weld everything, so we'll get into that in a second. But I'm just going to select OK. I'm pretty happy with this. And I do want you to notice that all of these are intersecting each other. That's really important. So call that out again. Since we're really wanting a peel and stick single decal, we don't want, if in case, for example, if I reduce this instead of 0.5, let's take it down to 0.2. Now, notice the two pieces for the yellow and the gray triangles, they meet, they intersect because they're so close. But notice this white space between the item of the tall graphic and the logo. Well, even though I am getting a cloud cut that goes around just the logo, they're no longer bound together. The tall item and the logo are now separate. A single peel won't be able to perform that. You won't be able to use that. So I'm going to take it back up again to 0.5, and you'll see again what I'm talking about. There you go. So now you notice right here that the outer path that we've generated now intersects the larger object. That's what we want. I'm going to click OK. Leave that. So with those taken care of, next I'm going to actually go up here and just turn this fill off so we see just the outline. Again, all I did was go up to the color palette, go to the fill, and then click the red bar, which is, if you hover over it, you see it says none. So that's all. I've taken the new generation of path. Right away, by default, it fills it with whatever it sees that the original was filled with. Well, that's kind of confusing for what we're trying to create, which is a separate cut path. So you go up to the fill, color, turn it off. Now we see these nice lines. We're getting there. Next step. Lines look good. Distance is where I want it. They overlap each other. They intersect, which is what I want, because the next step is pretty cool. We're going to weld it all together as a singular line. So to do that, we're going to go to Window, then down to Pathfinder, and then you'll see these different shape modes. And very simply, if you hover, there's the first one, which is the one we want, which is Unite. So this creates a compound shape and adds shapes to one another. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Keep an eye on these intersecting points. They're gone. So really neat ability. What I just showed you is a key element for what I do in my workflow. Whenever I get graphics requiring the addition of a cut and I have control and I want to be able to create them myself, you just basically saw the most common way that I handle that. There's other ways we can also now modify this line. We can tighten it using the same Pathfinder tool. You just repeat everything I just did, but with only this outer line selected, and now you go to Pathfinder and you change it to -0.2. That'll take it halfway, that full distance that we just did, which was 0.5. 0.2 is going to take it nearly, a half the way back towards the original, and it'll tighten up the corners a little bit too. Still a cloud, and it'll still have this opening, but it's a little tighter. Let's go ahead and make sure now that I'm going to make this a cut line. So we've talked about this in another tutorial, but I'll just do it again really quick. We've got the line selected. I'm going to click over onto the color palette on the side, click on the stroke. I'm going to give the stroke, I'm going to just pick a random color. I'm going to go with a light green. It doesn't matter what the color is. I'm then going to go 2 down from where I am below the color palette tool and hover, and you'll see swatches shows up. So that's what I want. Go to swatches. You'll see that green line shows up. Now when I click on the 3-bar icon in the far upper right of that toolbox, we go to new swatch, and now you'll see the RGB values come up by default. Very simply, I'm going to go into that box and I'm going to type capital C UT and then capital CONTOUR. Cut contour, all one word, 2 capital C's. and then change it from color type, which is the flyout just below. We're going to change that to spot color, and we're going to select OK when we're done. That's it. You've just created a new swatch. It's in the palette box here, and if you hover, it's cut contour. And I'm going to go back up to the color palette just to verify. Sure enough, it's picked up. It's a spot color. The name appears right here, cut contour, and we're done. So now I'm going to say File, Save As, and that's where my files go, and I'm going to call this the same file, Cut, at the end. Save. So now I'm going to I'm getting the options for PDF, so I'll just say Save PDF. The one I've created is a no compression, no profile. I've made it so that whenever I save a PDF with this as the default, it doesn't compress and it doesn't include a profile. So I save PDF from here. It's done. Minimize that. I'm going to come back into my RIP. I'm going to find my file on the desktop under Files, and we'll just do Date Modified, and there it is. The very first one at the top is the most recent. Close that back out. And here we are. Now, notice something different. I'm going to go right back above the one before. That was the first time we tried it, and notice Special Items is empty. Go to the new one, and look, you've got yourself a special item, and it's a normal cut. That's good. Let's go ahead and open that up. Double click. And there it is. A complete cloud cut around the two items that we wanted. So this is going to work perfect for what we needed it for. I hope this has helped, and look forward to seeing you in another video very soon. Thank you.